Dave Palumbo here with Chris, the technician, Aceto, Chad, the diet coach, and Mr. Olympia himself, Samir Bannout, and we're going to be doing the men's prejudging wrap-up here. The Mr. Olympia just let out. Phil Heath seems to be as dominant as he's ever been. Let me go to Samir first. Will Phil Heath win number 7?
Hands down.
Why?
Because, you know, he flow, his muscle pop up more. There's something, no, really, I love Ramy, but there's something is not there, you know? So the best conditioning go to Barnett tonight. Second best conditioning, Phil. Ramy was in shape, but there's just something I cannot explain.
We're going to get to Ramy in a minute. Chris, why was Phil Heath so dominant here tonight? Was it that maybe the rest of the lineup just wasn't what we expected?
Well, the lineup was nowhere near, I think, what we expected, right?
Yeah, no.
But, you know, I'd have to agree with Samir that has been for 7 straight years Phil Heath's calling card to that he pops.
And
you know,
consistency.
And you know, and he got better in the prejudging. You know, when he hit the most muscle at the end, his pecs were really rolling. His back tightened up. I mean, it wasn't that like it was watery, but it just became more dense looking and had more pop to it as prejudging went. He closed hard. He had good, confidence. I mean, there was no doubt in his mind that he was gonna. You know, I'm sure he checked everyone out backstage and said, you know, I got this show.
I thought Phil was as good as we've seen him. I have my own critiques of his physique. I don't love it, but I think that he looked very dominant tonight, and his conditioning was awesome. Chad, what happened, in your opinion, to the Sean Rodens that we thought were going to be out there? Dexter Jacksons we're talking about possibly winning this show. They just didn't show up tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dexter is a phenomenal athlete, but we've got to realize eventually age is going to catch up with you, and the way the skin looks and the way it lays, and I always talk about skin, the way it lays over the muscle, it caught up with him tonight. In my opinion, was he in shape? I thought he was in pretty good shape, but he doesn't have that youthful, vibrant skin that lays over the muscle and looks sharp like we're used to seeing on Dexter. With Roden, I think that Sean, I don't know, it's hard to explain with Sean because I love his physique, obviously. I've told, Chris that many times. But his movements are so slow, and sometimes he relaxes so much, and you wonder if that hurts him. Because if you watch him, the muscle just gradually gets softer and softer and softer. And when he first came out, he's so relaxed. His midsection was off. He has trouble controlling the leg and squeezing down on it. When he locks it out, it looks good, and then it fades. And if you watch him as the prejudging goes on, he gradually gets softer, and you almost wonder if it's because he's not used to just boom, boom, just exploding on all of those types of movements. The muscle's just not conditioned. Samir will talk about that, right? That when you lack that type of density and that conditioning to the muscle, it's a different look, and that's almost the look that Sean has.
Is Sean Roden, Freudian slip, is Sean Roden not practicing his posing enough, Samir? What do you think the problem is?
You know, this is another thing, man. You got an airplane, you don't know how to fly it. To me, it's not good. You know, it's not good, man. You got to learn how to fucking walk before you can run. And this is one of the problems that we need to start kind of like, that these people.
You don't think people pay enough attention to practicing the posing? Because you love doing that, I remember back in the day.
You know what? Honestly, it would help you so much to be able to have control of what you have, Honestly, I mean, I was sitting with Dorian, and he said, what the hell is this leg spreading so wide and you do it back? Why? He said, when you stand with your leg open, you throw off the whole symmetry. And when you lift your arms up too high, you lost the volume and the density from your arm.
Let me see that bicep shot there from Samir.
Let
me see that bicep shot.
Yeah.
How old are you? Are you 60 yet?
No, man. I just turned 48.
Let me come to you. Let's talk about the guys that did do well. William Bonac, Big Ramy. Let's talk about Ramy first. Good Ramy, excellent Ramy, or bad Ramy?
It's a good Ramy, and interestingly, it's a good Ramy in a very bad lineup. If you juxtapose it with, yes, he was flat in last year's prejudging, but he was peeled out of his mind. That would have been very dangerous. And then, last year's night show had a higher finish and quality and density to it than here. So something was going on on the front double and the front lat spread from here to here. Like, it didn't have Ramy's pop, and even on the legs, like on the front lat spread, usually you can put like one leg out and just overwhelm, like in Spain last year, before Rafael pulled the plug on that show. He'd be able to put like one leg out and just, still have like the crazy rolling pecs and just, dominate. And he left that, something was off. I'm not sure. Chad can tell.
Yeah, Chad, you're like the detective here. What Ramy looked to me like he was maybe flat, but he was conditioned, but something wasn't popping.
So here's my take on Ramy. You can't fix everything during a contest phase. You have to fix it all year. But they try to fix everything coming into the show. And when you look at him, you look at his glutes, and if that's the only thing you're looking at, you're like, holy shit, this guy is peeled, okay? But then when you start looking at everything else, the skin, again, you don't see any of that pop to the lower lat. You don't see it. And even with the front of the quad, you can tell he's sucked down. Like, you can tell that they've sucked everything out of him, but yet the skin is still holding water.
What causes that?
You end up with those issues because, look, at the end of the day, if you come in with thick skin, you're only going to thin that skin so much coming into the contest. That's stuff that all has to be fixed throughout the year. You can't fix that coming in 3 months. And so I think this is a good Ramy. I don't think it's a great Ramy. I don't think it's going to get anywhere close to Phil or Bannout, but it's a good Ramy, and I think they still have a tremendous amount of work. Here's the trick with this, though. You got to realize, like, when you look at his situation, nobody's in it. Nobody's in his situation because he's a 300-pound monster. He's got everything handed to him. It's all sitting in front of him. He's got a team with him all the time. Not one other athlete up there other than that group has that, okay? If you look at it based on that, it is a catastrophic loss because the only other people that have that is a married couple. Chris, you know that, right? And when you have those type of situations, when me and my wife were in that type of situation, I knew what she ate. I knew what it did to her body. I knew what it did. So when you look at things based off of that, it's a loss. Is this a good Ramy? I think it's a good Ramy. But I think the potential of what this kid has, what we want to see from this kid is astronomical, and we're not seeing it.
Right. Yeah. I for one want to see him just come in and decimate.
And he's got the muscle to do it.
You know what I think the problem is this. One day he was Chris, one day he was this, one day you got to keep him with one coach because then you have better record to, if Chris was working with him this year, I swear his chances would have been way better.
Was Ramy too big?
Ramy was
weight-wise.
He was too big weight-wise. Chad said it last year. The scale is important. You said something. I'm just, in regards to weight, the scale has to count for something. I do it this way. He does not have the muscle mass that Ronnie Coleman has. He almost is borderline. I mean, Jay almost had more muscle mass than him at some point. Certainly more density and
that's
craziness.
What he lacks. What he lacks is that maturity. Because look, when you see this kid, even in like 6 week out pictures, like I saw him and I'm like, holy shit, this guy is nuts looking, right? And then it doesn't transition to stage look ready physique, and that's a difference. Like,
there's good guest posers, and then there's guys that don't look good on stage.
That's not saying he can't. That's not saying he can't.
When Chad got Ronnie ready back in the early 2000s,
Right.
I went up to the room and I looked at, oh my God, Coleman was at his best ever. Why? Because Chad worked with him several years. He knows him more, so he know what's missing and what the adjustment that needed. That helped.
I still go back to the weight thing because I'm always big on weight. I know what people compete at, and if they're not near that weight,
What do you think he should compete? What was he last year?
he was probably 274 at prejudging and 279, 280 at the finals, and in Spain 284.
So 284 to 5 is 85.
I'm sure here you watch, guaranteed 100% with accuracy, he's 301. I guarantee he's 301 today. I guarantee he's 301.
Realistically,
so it
Look lighter.
Yeah.
He looked
And here's the thing.
Well, flat, you can be
That's the
301.
problem. Like, look, you can look 280 pounds. Like, look, Ronnie Coleman was 287 in 03, and I can promise you we'll never see anything like that again. Okay? Weight means nothing because, exactly, that's the trick right there. Look, you can be 300 pounds, but if you're not spot on, that 300 pounds is worthless. And it's not that he was off, it's just that he's not complete from top to bottom, front to back, all of that conditioning. Look, if everything looked like his glutes, he would walk away with this show, but unfortunately they don't.
It's true.
Who's over there? Is that Jose Raymond? Jose Raymond, come here. we haven't got to start talking about the 212 yet, but a lot of people, thought that you challenged Flex a little bit there. We don't know how you'll place. How did you feel up there in the lineup?
I felt like they're going to put me in a dead third, without question. Otherwise, they would have stood me next to Ahmad. So that tells me all I need to know.
Were you upset that you didn't get to stand next to him?
Pissed, Dave. I'm pissed. I'm not upset. I'm pissed. I was like wanting to jump in the crowd. Tomorrow, if they do it again, I guarantee you I will walk over and stand next to him.
Well, I'd like to see everyone compared up there, and I thought this was a good look for you, and I thought you.
I just want a chance. I want to stand next to him. You can't just say, "Oh, that guy over there looks better than that guy over there." Let them stand next to each other. Or maybe I smoked him and I don't need to stand next to him. But I don't think that's what happened. I don't think that's what they're thinking. Maybe I'm thinking it, but they're not.
We'll ask Samir later. He'll give us his true honest opinion. Good luck. Get a meal in you. Let's talk about William Bannout, who was the most impressive guy in that lineup. He might have been the most complete.
He is the only guy in this show, 212 or open, that is 100% peaked. Only guy, I can tell you that right now. He is spot on. If he was 3 inches taller, he would win the show, guaranteed.
Do you think that what Chad said is true? Because I agree with that. I don't think anyone was in really great shape. I thought that Bannout was the only one who really peaked himself.
Yeah, I mean,
aside from Phil.
Phil, outside of Phil, Bannout was definitely, he was as full as he could possibly be on that frame, with tremendous condition, zero flatness, zero water retention, zero distension. So it was, his best look for sure. And not only did he have perfect peaking, but it goes back to the lineup had no peaking in it other than a couple people, so he automatically moves right into the top three in a deadly call-out.
This is like when Branch Warren was second. Who would have ever thought that William Bannout would be second in the Open Mr. Olympia?
Physique-wise, it's not going to help him, but the quality, man, it was like far ahead. So based on that, personally, I would give him second.
I think he's a solid second because I don't think when you look at him from every angle, he's spot on. I just think that when look, there's some shots of Ramy from the side that look freaky, there's no doubt. But when you compare everything shot for shot, he is a solid second place. Solid.
I agree totally.
Yeah, I agree. Now, we talked about Dexter a little earlier, not being at his best. Is he a solid fourth still in your mind?
He's bunched up in there. I've just seen Dexter a lot better. I thought his waist looked a little wide. I thought his legs looked a little down in size. He had obviously low body fat, and really I don't think he was holding water. It's just that he didn't have a lot of volume to his body. He looked depleted, over dieted, and I've never seen Dexter really over dieted.
Is this age though, or is it just a matter that he just screwed up his peak?
What Chad says is 100%, because no matter who you are, it's just gonna catch you one way or another.
But all of a sudden, did it catch him, or Chad, do you think maybe he missed time?
Bad though. I mean, it's not like we're looking at a Dexter going, man, he's way off, because he had shots that were great, but when you looked at the skin, especially on the back, it started to not just have that vibrant look to it. And
you've just been off though today?
I didn't think he was that far off though. I mean, did he have a little water here, a little that? I mean, he wasn't at his all-time best, but I just think it was an age thing, and I think that it's something that he's going to, look, he's still
prove us all wrong again.
He's still at the top. I mean, he's still one of the top 5 guys, but I think there's a point where you just aren't trying to move forward. You're trying to just stay right there, and that's where he's at right now.
But, 5th place, I personally thought that Nathan Diasha really impressed me a lot in the lineup. I really like Chris the way he looked. I had him solid 5th. Well, what do you think about that?
I think he's, could pull a 5th. I mean, that sounds like a...
Who do you have 5th?
I would have him no lower probably than 5th, based on the fact that he had really good condition. He's really round. The quads, although they look a little suspicious, right? They're
standing there. He's very impressive.
He's very impressive in the lineup standing, which is huge. His condition was very good. I mean, I thought he got overlooked last year. So, overlooked last year, improved in both size and condition this year in a lineup which is falling, off the cliff. And he's a solid. I can't see him lower than 5th.
What do you like?
I mean, it's hard to say because based off of the comparisons, you had Roden in there, but then Roden started to fade, as the show went on. And I thought Nathan, he really impressed me because I did not see him in that top group because I love his physique. I like the taller guys, but he's got elongated muscle, so it takes longer to fill out. But he's added a tremendous amount of muscle this year, and I mean, it shows. You could tell. So it's going to be a toss-up because he's structurally not as good as some of the guys, but yet he's in decent shape. Not great shape, but decent shape. He's got a lot of muscle, so I could see him 5th or 6th, somewhere in that ballpark.
I have an emergency. What's going on with Ronnie Coleman?
No, he's over there. I'm seeing you.
He wants to talk to us?
Yeah, but we got to go over there.
Okay.
You want to just head over there?
Let's move it over. Let's go. Eight-time Mr. Olympia Ronnie Coleman wants to talk to us. We got to go find him. Where is he? There he is.
Hey, Marvin, get one right here.
Hold on. Is this eight-time Mr. Olympia Ronnie Coleman?
Buddy.
Oh my God.
Baby.
How you doing, my friend?
Peanut. I'm doing good.
Who won the Olympia? in your mind?
Whoever the judges pick, that's who won.
Who do you like? Who do you like?
I like whoever the judges pick.
Who impressed you the most?
They all impressed me. Who impressed you?
I think Phil.
Bill, yeah.
But yeah, let's hear from Barnett, right?
Barnett was off the chain, so I don't know.
You were what?
Barnett and Phil, I'm going with both of them.
I said nobody beat that condition in 2001, 2002.
How big were you at your biggest?
296. 296.
right?
04. Yeah.
296. All right. Is Big Ramy of the same caliber that you were back at that height?
He's pretty doggone close.
Are you impressed with him?
Close. I'm getting there. give me some time.
Can he achieve the conditioning level that you did?
It's not gonna be easy.
I think we should send him to Ronnie's house and let Ronnie put him on the treadmill, 3 hours a day.
Oh, I got the perfect guy for him.
Did you see Ronnie?
Chad Nichols is the perfect guy for him.
Who'd you like in the 212s?
Oh, Flex Lewis.
Yeah. Who'd you have second, third?
What's the kid from Bond? What's his name?
Ascanani?
No, the other
Jose
one.
Raymond?
No.
David Henry.
Was it? Ahmed.
Oh, yeah, Ahmed.
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 Yeah.
All right.
David Henry looked good too. Yeah.
Ronnie, thank you. I'm glad
Always
to
a
see you.
pleasure, my friend
I'm
Dave.
glad to see you walking
Yeah,
around
buddy.
again.
You know I'm hanging.
I
out
see you training. Are you going to make
every
Flex
single
Wheeler
day.
made a comeback? Are you making a comeback next year?
I'm gonna make a comeback and hand out a trophy.
We're gonna have a
All right.
recovery. God's
Let-
willing.
Let's reconvene over here. Let's move over here. Chris, come back over here. Let's talk about this 212 lineup. Who do we got here? Let's talk 212, guys. Flex Lewis going for win number 7. Chad, did he do it?
He did, but I'm going to tell you, this is not the best Flex Lewis we've seen. I thought that he actually looked a little over-dieted. I've never seen Flex's legs thin before, but they actually looked a little bit thin. Now, I'm being very nitpicky. He's very good, obviously. He has a lot of dense muscle, but I think he came down a little farther than he needed to. Still enough to win, though. Still enough to win.
Who do you have second?
I would have Jose Raymond.
That's because you train him. That's what they're going to say.
I mean, it is because I trained him, but he was the biggest, he was the gnarliest, hardest, densest guy up there. And, you got to reward hard, dense, gnarly muscle.
Who won the back double and back lat spread in your mind?
Here's the thing, Ascanani is a freak, and from the waist up, this kid is genetically gifted. He's round, he's got a tremendous amount of muscle, but then you go from the waist down, he doesn't quite possess that same look. So, look, if his lower half was matching his upper half, it's over.
Yeah, it's over, yeah.
But it becomes a huge deficit because now it's a monstrous imbalance when you start looking at the two. The rear shots are freaky though if you just look from the waist up, but his glutes aren't quite as hard as Flex's. And when you start looking at that depth to the muscle, those hamstrings, how everything ties together, Flex is just even though I say he wasn't at his best, he's unbeatable.
Does Jose win the back poses possibly?
Jose is a freak though, and I would have liked to seen Jose, like you said, standing next to Ascanani, because here's the thing, Ascanani lacks a lot of separation from the front, and I thought Jose was very separated from the front. So when you start comparing those two, if they were standing side by side, it's a little bit different of a scenario versus with Flex in the middle. It changes the whole look of the stage. So it would have been interesting to see them guys side by side. I think that Ascanani is so overpowering up top, you separate him and you're drawn right to him. So
who in your mind wins the back double bicep in the 212?
Well, I think Ahmed's have a very strong, thicker chest and back. The density is obviously better. But when you look at Flex Lewis, he's got the overall package. His body flows, forearms, shoulders, and small waist. But I agree with whatever Chad says, he's 100% right on the money.
Do you think the judges will shake up and mix up the lineup a little bit more, and maybe do some more comparisons tomorrow night?
No, not at all, because they called 4 people, and one of those persons in that 4th call out. I mean,
person call.
Yeah, it was surprising that there's a 4th person in there.
Yeah, I was shocked that Lunsford was in there. Were you?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of momentum coming in. He's a young kid. He might be the future of this class. I thought he was a little thin through the legs, so did he compare to the top 3 guys? Probably not, but I mean, it's obviously a phenomenal spot for him. Did he belong there? I thought he held his own, but again, it was a tough call.
Let's talk about the classic physique division, which is super exciting. The finals were tonight. I personally like Chris Bumstead. I thought that he was overwhelming, that he was a man among boys. And Breon Ansley, who's a terrific competitor as well, was 4th here last year, winds up ultimately coming out on top. Chris, let me go to you first. What was your opinion on that?
I think Chris Bumstead, Bumstead, sorry, Chris. He's the bodybuilder in the classic class in the sense that he went to the North Americas, a bodybuilding show, as a heavy, a big guy, and he won it. So for him to cross over, it's a natural to say, okay, he's a big guy who's winning open, high-level international bodybuilding shows, beating American guys and all the Canadian guys, with great flow and great symmetry and great condition. It's not a leap at all to have him in first place. I mean, he's got a lot of classic flow to his, midsection, his torso, his legs are great. I thought he was I would have had him first.
Samir, who did you like?
You see, to me, it's all about the package, because Chris didn't have that arm like, the guy that won the show. I remember his name.
Breon Ansley.
Yeah, I think Breon, as an overall package, has denser back, a bigger arm, and that's why he won. So you got to look at the entire package. This Bumstead, right? His arm went really up there. In his back, like the bottom part of his back was not really. I was sitting with Dorian. We both felt the same way. It's just that, the overall package. You look at the overall package, he ran more, and I voted for him.
What did you think, Chad?
But here's the thing. We're all bodybuilding fans, so we are immediately drawn to Bumstead. Yeah. Beautiful physique. He sucks that stomach in, beautiful lines. I loved his physique. I would have had no problem with him winning. But we're now talking about classic physique, and when you start breaking that down shot for shot, it's tough. The shorter guys just look a little bit more balanced in there. And if you looked at all of them, they were all kind of the same height, and he kind of stood out. So you start is he too big? Is he too this? Is he too that? I loved his physique. I would have had no problem with him winning. But, the guy, it is what it is, like you said, yeah.
Should Bumstead go to the Open, being a young guy? I mean, the guy could obviously add mass, so is he in the right class?
He's in the right class because this class, let me tell you what I loved about this class. The level of condition smoked the Open, right? And the posing routines just were off the hook. Every single person had a tremendous posing routine in which you watched from the beginning when they came out to the end. And we're going to come to the finals tomorrow night, and we're all going to see the same old walking from one side to side. Phil may have a routine, and that's about it.
Here's the thing that's going to happen in Classic. We're going to see it just like everything. It's going to progress as we go along, and so you almost wonder if Bumstead is progressed already. He's a little bit bigger, a little bit more complete in certain areas. Still not as balanced maybe as Breon, but he's a little shorter, so he actually gets there a little quicker. But I think we're going to see that class progress. So the shorter guys are there now. We're going to see some of the taller guys, because if you look at some of the taller guys right now, they got more elongated muscle. They're not as complete. They don't stand out. Down the road, those guys are going to catch up, and we're going to see the class and the way the lineup looks a little different, I think.
Now, Oksana Grishina repeats as Miss Fitness Olympia. It's our last show. Terrific routine. Brought tears to my eyes, at least. And, I think that she had a terrific career. I think she probably should have added another 2 or 3 Olympias in there that they kind of cheated her out of early on in her career, but I think she ended on a great note. I think it's always great when a champion ends on top rather than getting beaten, Let's talk about figure, because I want your opinions on figure. I know you all watch it. Latoya Watts, reigning champion. Candace Lewis, who beat her at the Arnold earlier in the year. and now we get a third girl, Sydney Gillen, comes in and wins tonight. Was that the right decision?
I think so. Like, I'm a huge Candace fan, okay, because she has a taller physique. Everybody knows that I like that look. It's more elongated, pretty, but there was just something about her that just kind of got overshadowed by Sydney. Yes, and if you look at Sydney compared to Latoya, like even through the midsection, her like midsection was just so flawless, just so clean. The lines just tied into the hip, just perfect. I thought it was the right call.
Yeah, I thought it was the right call. Yeah, I think her V taper is just so perfect.
She doesn't have a long torso like the other two girls.
She doesn't, and Latoya has. I think her legs overpower. They take away from. They're really developed. I think they're overdeveloped only when compared to the winner. Yeah. You see like, wow, there's who am I going to go? One girl has legs that are just like almost too developed compared in relation to the other. So.
Question for Samir. Samir, are the figure girls too big and hard now? Has it gotten out of hand?
I don't know, man. It's just. I thought the girls were looking really, really good, and they're doing a good job overall.
Don't the girls today in figure look like the bodybuilders from when you competed?
More like it, yeah, definitely.
Is that good, Chad?
Well, it depends what we're saying is good. Yeah. I mean, I like that look. I
do too,
love
but
the figure look. But how far are we going to let it go? I mean, if you looked at the three girls up there, I thought they looked great. But then you went to Nicole Wilkins, who was drastically bigger. She looked completely different. Yeah. You could tell they pushed the boundaries a bit. Now, everybody else now looks at that, sees everything, and they continue to push the boundaries. So you definitely got to reel it in and keep it right there. Again, the top three is going to be very hard. Those three are going to be there for a while, that's for sure.
What about Flex Wheeler? Let's talk about Flex Wheeler in Classic Physique. Success, it seemed like when I listened to his speech and I saw the emotion come down, I felt like he needed to end on his own terms, and this was his final curtain call, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, Chad would know better because he worked with him for a lot of years. But, I thought, 52 years old, he probably hasn't trained hard in years. He trained for I don't know how long, a year. I thought he looked, for a 52-year-old guy in a class like that, I thought he looked great.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, Flex went into this with a couple goals. One, to get healthy. A lot of people don't realize that a year ago he was in the hospital. He had kidney issues then. His creatinine level was very, very high.
With the new kidney?
Yes, but he had gotten sick after that. So he had been in the hospital. They'd put him on a ton of medication and stuff. So part of this whole journey was about getting healthy. And he's done that and been able to do that. And so I think when you look at the big picture of what he tried to accomplish, what he did, look, he hung right in there. I thought he looked great for what he did, for how he went about it. He'd done everything on his own terms. Him and Stan really kind of put things together. I was just kind of there to kind of steer some things down there and run some things by me. But I thought they both did a phenomenal job, and I thought that he did it his way. Like, he wanted to do certain things his way. That's exactly what they did, and I think it was a win-win for him.
Samir?
You have to give him a lot of credit after all what he's been through, kidney transplant, and but it's the passion is still there, and he wants to get healthier. He loved the game, but I have to give him a lot of credit for showing up at least with quality muscle. Not big as like what we know, but still 52 years old. After all these injury and hospitalization, I think he was good. I'm impressed,
I hope I look that good at 50. I'm falling apart. So, Flex, it was great to see you end on your own terms, and I thought that was one of the sentimental. That and Oksana retiring were probably the two most sentimental parts of the show tonight. Obviously, we don't know who's going to win the Mr. Olympia till tomorrow, so stay tuned to all our coverage all weekend long on RxMuscle.com. I'm Dave Palumbo with Chris the Technician Aceto, Chad Nichols, and of course, Mr. Olympia himself. Is that Joe Weider?
That's Joe Weider.